There's a version of most cruisers that exists in the days before every sailing who is completely convinced she needs options. Options for formal night, options for sea days, in case the mood shifts, options for the pool, the promenade, the casual lunch, the nice dinner, the port days. That version packs accordingly and then spends the first port day dragging luggage that reasonably could have been checked as freight. I've been in that position more times than I care to admit, especially on my first cruise. I was the worst overpacker on earth on my first cruise. And overpacking is only the most visible mistake on this list. Some of the others are more subtle, and a couple of them will cost you more than just a sore shoulder through the airport. Hi, I'm Melissa, a university professor who loves to cruise and who loves to talk ship. So let's talk about packing mistakes that cruisers make. First is when you're packing for the wrong person. The core problem with most cruise packing is that cruisers pack for who they imagine they will be on vacation rather than who they actually are. Formal nights are the clearest example of this. Dress codes across mainstream cruise lines, they've relaxed significantly, right, in the last several years. So it's not everyone donning their full black tie, tuxedos, long poofy floor-length gowns, that kind of thing. So sometimes newer cruisers or first-time cruisers go into this thinking elegant night's gonna be like prom night. And that's just not really what it is these days. Now, some people do still dress to the nines, but those big poofy gowns, they can take up an entire carry-on or half of a full suitcase. And a tuxedo, especially if you're trying to take care of it and you don't want it to get wrinkled or ruined, that's gonna take up a ton of space as well. And then you're probably gonna have a special pair of shoes that you wear literally for one or maybe two nights if you're on a longer sailing and it has two elegant nights. So make sure you're not overdoing it with elegant nights. And that same logic extends to your entire cruise wardrobe. Cruisers tend to pack for multiple personalities across a 7-night sailing. The gym version of themselves, the beach version, the pool version, the elegant night version. These are all real cruiser types, and most of us are genuinely not all of them at once on any given sailing. So the clothes that we bring for the aspirational version of our cruise self, they just end up taking space, they add weight, and they create decisions that we don't want to have to make at 6:30 in the morning when you got a port to go to. So my advice, pack in complete outfits rather than individual pieces, and be honest about how you actually spend your time on a cruise. 3 to 4 solid port day combinations that you can mix and match to, 2 to 3 evening options depending on your cruise line, and some are more formal than others, and some have more formal kind of dress codes. Pool and loungewear for the sea days. That covers a week. Everything beyond that is just optimism in a suitcase. And you're gonna feel it at the airport on your way home. Now, the irony of overpacking clothes is that the things that would genuinely make your sailing easier are often things that don't even make your packing list. So a lot of times, newer cruisers, they go crazy dressing to the nines for elegant night, and then they omit really important things. And the biggest omission that I see is a compact power strip, but it cannot have a surge protector. So most cruise lines, except for Royal Caribbean, they do allow you to bring an extension cord. It has to be non-surge protected. And this is actually really important because cruise ship cabins, especially if you're sailing on an older, smaller ship, they have a shockingly low number of available outlets of space in a space that's serving as your home for a week. So you put even a couple of girls in a cabin. I have 2 daughters, and when we cruise together, even if we have 2 outlets, which sometimes there have been 1, and they're often placed inconveniently, it's difficult because you're dealing with flat irons and curling irons and hair dryers and chargers and watch chargers and phone chargers and AirPod chargers and all of this. And for me, laptop chargers, there's a lot of things you gotta charge. And 1 or 2 outlets, that's just not going to cut it. So a small power strip costs you very little, it weighs almost nothing, and it actually solves a real frustration that you're going to encounter otherwise. Now, another big gap are medications. So I always say don't overdo it with the medication. Some people pack way too much. It's like they're trying to solve every ailment in one suitcase, right? So don't bring everything. Obviously bring your prescription meds, but everything that you reach for at home without thinking, especially motion sickness relief medication or treatments, pain medication, antacids, and antidiarrheal. Now the ship does have a medical center and a shop. They both will charge you accordingly, and it's not cheap. So anything you rely on regularly or you think you might need within reason should be in your carry-on, not your checked bag. And ladies, don't underestimate the lady products because you can get them on a cruise. They're very expensive and they're inconvenient because the hours of the shops where you can buy them are not always convenient. So you don't want to need feminine provisions on a day when you're in port, but you're still on the ship and the shops are all closed. So you don't want to run out of those things. So make sure you do bring adequate provisions. Now, a proper day bag for ports is also worth planning before you board rather than trying to improvise when you're on the pier on a port day. You need something comfortable, ideally hands-free, that gives you room for water, sunscreen, a light layer, your ship card, and whatever you plan to buy, assuming you're going to a warm weather climate. If you're going to Alaska or the Nordic area, you're gonna need obviously different things, but a lot of cruisers are doing warm weather climates. So you need this pack. I actually have a really great pack. It's waterproof and it's lockable. It's not like the world's best lock. It's not Fort Knox, but it's more of a deterrent than it is anything else, and I swear by it. I'll try to dig up the link and drop it below if I can find it, but make sure you do pack that and bring that. Now let's talk about what you will not use, the things that you should leave at home, at least in my humble opinion. Full-size toiletries. Now bring toiletries because I've actually been recently on a cruise where they don't even provide shampoo. It's a shampoo body wash combo, and I'm sorry, I'm not trusting a combination body wash shampoo mix on my hair. And almost none of them provide conditioner. But bringing full size, it's overkill. They're heavy, they take up space, they can leak, and again, you can put them in travel-size bottles, and if you do, worst case scenario, run out or forget, you can buy them at the cruise ship shop or at a shop on a port day. But bringing full-size toiletries, I think, is overkill. Now, the big one is shoes. This is the biggest mistake I made on my first cruise. I was all hyped for elegant night because I like dressing up. I wanted a different pair of shoes for every single night in the MDR, which is the main dining room. And I literally filled an entire carry-on with just shoes. I'm not kidding. I probably brought 7 pairs of shoes. Shoes are difficult. They're heavy, they're bulky, they don't compress, they're not convenient, they're dirty, so you have to put them in bags. And a lot of cruisers end up bringing significantly more pairs than they would ever wear. So my advice, and I beat this like a drum, and I follow it too, I practice what I preach, is that you really need 3 pairs of shoes on a cruise. You need one solid walking shoe on port days, especially if you're gonna do adventure activities or hiking. You wanna make sure it has a closed toe, especially if you're gonna do things like ATVs or zip lining or ropes courses. A lot of times those types of activities require that you have that type of shoe. They won't let you wear Crocs or flip-flops or sandals or anything like that. Then you do need an elevated option for evenings. And I love my sexy pumps. I love my high heels. They just don't work on a cruise ship, right? They take up a lot of space to bring, and also a waving, swaying cruise ship, often with slick floors, that's not the time to wear your F-me pumps. You wanna wear your granny heels. And I do have my favorite wedges. They're not winning any sexiest shoe of the year awards. I'll also try to dig that link up and drop them below. It's a nice little mid-size wedge, but they put the fun in functional. Ain't nobody trying to be twisting an ankle on a cruise. So for me, I bring my one evening shoe and I make sure it's versatile enough to fit different colors to do elegant night and also the more casual dinners where I still wear a dress, but it's a more casual dress. And I usually bring just camel or black. So it matches pretty much everything. Now you have the luxury of the nice shoes on land, but on a cruise, you gotta kind of make decisions that we wouldn't make at home. So you got your walking shoe, you've got your elevated dinner shoe, and then you need something for the beach, the pool, and just bopping around the cruise ship. And that's where the sandals or flip-flops come into play. So my friends, 3 pairs, that's all you need. That's gonna cover almost everything that you need in a week of cruising. It's really what it requires. And it leaves you real room in your bag for more clothes or buying souvenirs and stuff that you can bring home. Now, the entertainment category is one that surprises people sometimes. I've been on cruises before and I'm like, oh my God, it's gonna be so relaxing. I'm gonna bring like 3 books. I'm gonna bring my tablet. I'm gonna bring a bunch of games. I'm gonna bring a whole bunch of beach supplies and like protective cover that's big and bulky, and just don't do it. Now, first of all, cruise ships, they're not short on things to do. A lot of them have libraries with game rooms, and yeah, a lot of the games are often missing pieces. But I say if you really want entertainment, go with the cards. I always bring a deck of Uno cards. It's small, it's compact, it's not bulky. It's lightweight, that's my go-to. So decks of cards are very handy. And when it comes to the beach stuff, keep it at a minimum. The one splurge, in my opinion, that's worth bringing is a snorkel set, because if you're going on a Caribbean cruise, you're gonna be out having beach days. A great free beach activity is actually snorkeling. Anyone can do it, you don't have to be certified. And a lot of places will rent you snorkeling equipment for 20, 30 bucks. Well, you can buy your own set for that. Again, I'll try to dig up the link. I have a couple just cheapo sets I get on Amazon that I've had for years and they've been great. I'll drop that down below as well. But it's a great free activity. When you're at the beach, just snorkel, pop on your own set. It's a lot more hygienic too. So that's the one splurge with beach stuff. And also on my first cruise with the beach, I thought I had to bring my own beach towels, and I wasted so much limited luggage space, especially because again, I really went overboard with the shoes. I packed beach towels. Beach towels are big and they're bulky. Every single cruise line, yes, every single one of them will provide for you beach towels to use for free. Now you gotta make sure that you return them because otherwise they will hit you with a charge. So be mindful of that. but leave the bulky, heavy towels at home. Prioritize, of course, your day pack. That is useful at a beach. Again, I have a waterproof lockable one that's perfect for the beach, but not just the beach, other things as well. And make sure you bring your snorkel set. Leave the towels at home. Another mistake cruisers do tend to make that I see is packing for the wrong destination. And this really does seem to trip up the new cruisers more than the vets, obviously, but it's worth mentioning. Now, your packing list, it should reflect where you're going and what the weather actually will be, not what it is at home when you're doing your laundry. And I know that sounds like a no-brainer, but you got to think about this. And you also have to account for the fact that cruise ship temperatures are different than outdoor temperatures. Okay, so a Caribbean sailing in January, obviously warm, humid port weather. So then you're dressing for hot, humid weather. But my friends, cruise lines, they love to keep that air conditioning set to morgue level temperatures. And I always say all the time, I'm a sweaty bitch. I'm sweating right now and I don't even have that many lights in front of me. I just sweat. I get a sweat stash. It's gross. It's something you gotta live with. But even me, the sweaty bee, I freeze on cruise ships. I love going to the main dining room, the MDR, at night for dinner every night. I know not every cruiser's an MDR person. They're like, I'll just go to the buffet, whatever. But especially if you like the MDR or you like the theaters where you can see comedy or entertainment shows, you absolutely want to bring a light jacket. This is my go-to cruise jacket, actually. I don't have a link to it because it's Athleta brand, but you go to Athleta and get it. But I also wear a sweater. There's a sweater. I have a white version. I have a black version. It's a little button-up cardigan. It goes with almost everything. And I cannot cruise without my little cardigan. So always make sure, of course, you're checking the temperatures of where you're gonna go. And also don't always assume the Caribbean is gonna be hot, because while it is generally warm year round, I have had some very cold Caribbean port days. In February, I was in the Bahamas at Carnival Celebration Key and it was frigid. Even with, actually I was literally wearing this jacket. I told you I like it, but I was wearing this jacket. I think I was wearing this whole outfit. Ironically, I literally was. I guess I wear this outfit a lot, whatever. But I was wearing this outfit, I was still zipped up and I was still cold and I wasn't out at port very long because it was too cold and it was very windy. So I got back on the ship. So make sure that you are thinking about versatility, but not overdoing it, right? I will wear this multiple days on a cruise. My cardigan, I will wear it every night because I'm wearing it a couple hours at dinner, coming back to my room, hanging it up. It's not getting dirty. And even for a sweaty bee, I'm not sweating in it. It's not getting gross because I'm freezing in the MDR. So make sure you're thinking about that versatility. If you do any type of European cruise or a Baltic cruise, I've done both of those, the climate can be very unpredictable. So you absolutely do want to dress in layers, and the cardigans and the light jackets work perfectly for that. Also take a look at your excursion list. As I mentioned with shoes, you do want to be prepared. If you are going to have an adventure activity, you need a closed-toed shoe, and usually Crocs don't cut it. If you're going to Europe, there's a lot of history, there's a lot of cobblestones. My first few times in Europe, I thought I was gonna be all cute and get the Instagram pictures and wear even a low granny heel, my go-to granny heel. Those cobblestones are very unforgiving. You want a good, sensible walking shoe. Now, what most ladies we've learned in Europe, you can still wear a dress and you just wear walking shoes with it. I have a neutral pair of white on white Adidas. They work. Not the sexiest, cutest thing, but I'm more concerned with not hurting myself. So also account for the excursions that you're gonna do as well.
And I want to talk about the 1/3 rule. This one comes in clutch when it comes to packing for a cruise.
Pack what you plan to bring, get it ready, and then take out about 1/3 of it. Because whatever you take out is almost certainly something that you will not miss. The cruise experience that's not in your suitcase, it's outside that cabin door. It's off that cruise ship. It's out in the ports. So pack light enough that getting there is easy and you're not killing yourself and spending a fortune if you fly to cruise ports like me. Bag fees, even carry-on fees, they're astronomical nowadays. And instead spend your energy and your money that you save from all the bag check fees and stuff on your actual trip. So I wanna know, what are your go-to cruise packing tips? Drop your suggestions down in the comments and let's talk ship.